everyone. We are going to get started in just another minute to see if anyone else hops on board. All right, I have 8 o'clock on the dot, so I will begin. Thank you all for taking time out of your Monday evening for the Bocce pre-competition webinar. My name is Kendall Zezwitz. I'm a regional sports director for Eastern Maryland, and I'm also the staff lead for Bocce. This webinar is being recorded tonight, so I will send out the link and the slides tomorrow so you can reference them if you have any additional questions. And if you have a question that pops up throughout the webinar, feel free to use the raise your hand tool, or you can message the question to Ron and he will let me know and we'll get it answered for you. All right, so what we're going to go over tonight is all of the general things that are happening with summer games as a whole and then the Bocce specifics. As many of you know, or should know, hopefully, summer games are going to be held June 8th through the 10th, and the Bocce competition will be taking place on the 9th and the 10th, which is the Saturday and Sunday that weekend. I just wanted to remind you of 2 quick GMS things before I get into the thick of things. So our deadline to enter everyone into their competitive events with their qualifying scores is on May 24th. And if you have a doubles or a team who is doing Bocce, you enter their qualifying score as their individual score, and then GMS will do all the work for me and calculate the team's qualifying score. So just make sure that you do it individually. Also, many of you already have, but if you have not and you have any accommodations that are needed for your athletes, please let me know as soon as possible so my team and I can prepare for it. I have received a few today and last evening, so for the coaches that I haven't gotten back to, I will do that first thing in the morning. All right, starting with a map of the campus, it's pretty much all the same as last year with the exception that swimming is brought back to Towson, so that will be at Burdick Hall. But Bocce is going to be in the same exact location, pretty much the same setup, just something different with the parking, so I will touch on that as we get closer to the parking slides. The master schedule for summer games on Thursday, we have the HOD meeting as well as the delegation registration. And then all of the fun stuff starts on Friday, starting the day off with our cheerleading competition. That is the only sport that we have going on that day. We will be having a dance demonstration in the Potomac room. So if you are available from 4 to 6, I highly recommend getting over there to see it. They have about 60 athletes who have been performing throughout the season for this. So they're really excited and it'll be a cool thing to see. For you guys, we will have a coaches meeting from 6 until 6:30. It's in room 301, I believe, in United Stadium. Again, I have a slide later on that says the exact spot, but it's important for all head coaches to be there. We're going to be going over things for the actual competition as well as having a potential ramp demonstration, which will be a cool thing for you guys to check out. On Fridays, also our opening ceremonies, which starts with a parade of athletes. And then our competition will actually start on Saturday. So competition starts at 8, but we will have the courts available to warm up on starting at 7. However, once it hits 7:45, only athletes who are competing can be on that court, as well as volunteers. Everyone else, we ask to just go off into the spectator seating so we can get things rolling. Other notable things on Saturday at summer games, we're doing the home run derby again this year, as well as the softball evening game and the Olympic Park and the dance, which is my favorite part of all of our competitions, will be happening in lot 21. And then Sunday is our final day of competition. Again, it's going to start at 8, and we will have the course open at 7 a.m. for you to practice. This next stuff I'm kind of going to go through a little bit quickly just because I want to be mindful of your time. But I will send out the slides, so if you need to reference it, it's just general summer games things. We're doing the block party again this year in lot 20, which is behind CQ Arena. That's where everyone is going to line up for the staging of the parade of athletes for opening ceremonies. Like I said, Olympic Park is going to be in Lot 21 on Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun. There will be music, street entertainers, sports clinics, and art activities, which is new this year, and food trucks, which is always everyone's favorite part. So make sure to check that out if you want to have some fun on that Saturday night. Talked about the parade staging. The inclement weather plan for the block party and parade staging is inside of Towson Center, which is right there. So if it's a torrential downpour, that is where you're going to go, and we'll have people directing you there. Transportation. So I have a few slides on this. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of it all, but we will be having shuttle bus services, same as last year. They will take you from dorms to competitions to parking areas for spectators, all that. There will be signs that are clearly labeled so you know where you're going and what shuttle bus to hop onto. The one big thing that's a change for us with transportation is going to be the parking in Lot 19. That is the lot that is right by Bocce. And we've had a few issues in the past with this lot. It just gets super filled up and it kind of serves as a distraction. So this year we are doing parking passes for Lot 19, and they're going to be distributed to your heads of delegations on the 7th, I believe, which is our Thursday night head of delegation meeting. The way that we are doing this is based off of the size of your delegation. So, for example, if Anne Arundel has 60 bocce athletes and Carroll County has 10 bocce athletes, then Anne Arundel would get 6 passes to distribute and Carroll County would get 1. That's not the exact ratio with the math, just kind of an example, but we will have that solidified, and we will let you know, well, we'll let your head of delegations know, and they will let you guys know how to go about receiving a pass. So end of opening ceremonies, we will have shuttle buses taking all the athletes back to their dorms. We're going to do it in waves of people. Individuals staying at the towers are going to be the first ones to go. We're just asking that all delegations remain seated at the opening ceremonies until they're called by announcements for dismissal. It's a madhouse already, so we want to keep it as smoothly moving as possible. So it kind of touched on the new things that are going on at Olympic Park, and that our dance is a tropical island theme, which is going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you bring your Hawaiian button-up shirts and straw hats. And we also have our Young Athletes program again this year. It's a super cool event. If you have any young ones who are coming out to watch or helping out, it's going to be from 10 to 12 and 1 to 3. And it's inside of the Towson Center. It's just a really fun, inclusive day of activities for the younger athletes. So make sure to check that out if you have any free time. Meals. All registered delegation members are going to receive lunch on both Saturday and Sunday and Friday if you are also doing cheerleading. And all delegation members who are staying overnight will be provided dinner and breakfast. If you have family members who are attending and they want to purchase a meal, they can do that. The prices are listed out at the bottom bullet point. But we will have meals for all athletes, unified partners, coaches, volunteers, etc. So this is an exciting year because following our summer games, we will be having USA games. We have 4 athletes and a lovely coach who will be going out to Seattle to represent Maryland in bocce. For families of your bocce athletes who are going to USA games, there's going to be a briefing on Sunday at approximately 4 p.m. in the Potomac Lounge in the University Union. It just kind of shows the different sports that we have at summer games that we're also sending teams to. We have a lot of athletes going. It's great recognition for Maryland, so it's pretty exciting. If you see any of the Team Maryland athletes out and about at summer games, just congratulate them and tell them that you're proud of them. Hopefully they all bring us back gold, but if not, we love them anyways. So a big emphasis with this is it's the responsibility of the delegation for the athletes, other than competition for relays and doubles. So if Montgomery County has an athlete going, they are still responsible for making sure that he gets to his meals, that he's getting to the competition site and all of that. The only exception is on the day of doubles, Annette, who is our Team Maryland coach, she will establish a trade-off time and point where she will come and she will get your athlete and keep them all together to make sure that they're getting to their Team Maryland matches. And then once they are finished, she will hand them back off to you, and they will be your responsibility again. Does anyone who has a Team Maryland athlete going have a question about this? No? Awesome. Oh, ready? Give me 1 second and I can unmute you. All right, your line should be open.
Yeah, I'm seeing that you have a family meeting for them at 4 o'clock. That means that if we're leaving at, let's say, all our competition is at 2 o'clock, then just that you're expecting their family to take them to the family briefing on Sunday, right? Because it seems awfully late.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if this is mandatory for families of athletes going to USA Games, but I can check on that and I can get back to you tomorrow with an answer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so the bocce competition team is pretty much the same as last year with the exception of I am taking Melissa Kelly's spot. So we have Sam, Brian, Denny, and Luch back. And our schedule is on Friday, June 8th. We're going to have the coaches meeting, which is in room 301 in United Stadium. It's the 3rd floor. It's kind of right by where our control center is. On June 9th, we're doing the singles competition. And just to note, people who are using ramps will be divisioned among those who do not use a ramp, just to keep everything pretty fair. The coaches meeting there's going to be another one on Saturday, just because I love to have meetings. And it's going to immediately follow competition. So just stay around the competition area, and I will call you all together just to go over if any issues popped up or if there are any changes that I need to let you know about for Sunday. And then Sunday competition is going to start at 8, and we're hopefully going to be done by 3. We're going to start with our traditional doubles pairs and then move into our unified doubles pairs. At this time, we do not have any team or bocce teams that have been registered, so we won't be offering that this year. So just a reiteration of what I just said. For singles on Saturdays, we're going to start with our female divisions and then transition to the male divisions through midday. I know that a few coaches have contacted me about having an athlete who needs to play earlier on in the day. We can still accommodate that, so I'll just switch things around and I'll be in contact with you in regards to this. Like I said, courts are going to open at 7 a.m. each morning for warm-ups and practice if desired, but they are just going to be closed to non-competing athletes and coaches at 7:45 so we can get ready for that 8 a.m. start time. Breakfast and dinner schedules are flexible. If you need to take your team to breakfast or dinner that's different from your assigned time, then go. Matt Otwell, who's our food service director, is fantastic, and he is super focused on meeting your needs. If you don't feel comfortable having your head of delegation or someone ask about a meal change, please come find me, and I can definitely help you out with that. I see Rennie.
Rennie has another question.
Oh, yep. I'll unmute your line right now, Rennie.
Yeah, I see that we have the girls going first again. I can't remember what we did last year, but we always seem to have the girls going first and then the males. Are we ever going to think about flipping that and alternating that from year to year?
Yeah, I can discuss that with my management team and see if they would like to do that for this year. And yeah, if we do decide to change it and have the male divisions go first, I'll send out an email to all of you just so you're prepared for that.
Thank you.
And Kendall, we have another typed-in question from Ray. Should we still plan on attending the meeting Saturday night?
Yes. Yeah, if you are able to attend, if you have another conflict that pops up and it's something that's crucial, I'll be collecting everyone's cell phone numbers so I can contact you and let you know. But if you are able to attend, that would be preferred. All right, so the Friday coaches meeting, this is the one that is mandatory. Other coaches, assistant coaches, you are more than welcome to come. If you would rather be doing something else, that's totally fine. We will be ending, I'm trying to have it over by 6:25 so you guys can get over to opening ceremonies, which starts at around 7, I believe, and we're doing the staging for the parade of athletes at 6:30. This meeting is just kind of going to go over the competition for the weekend, any potential issues that might pop up, and we are working on having a ramp demonstration at this meeting. I know that ramps have been something that you've all been learning about, and if I've seen you, I've probably individually bugged each and every one of you because there's so many cool different ramp styles out there, but I just wanted to bring them in front of you so you could really see how they work and how some of them could be a huge asset to your lower level ability players.
Kendall, I'm sorry, I didn't read the question correctly. It says, Harvard does not have any individuals competing in singles. Should we still plan on attending the meeting on Saturday night?
Oh, no, Suzanne, you guys can just come on the Sunday, and if there's anything that's going to be a change for Sunday, I'll let you know at the beginning of the competition. All right, our venue map. So everything is going to be laid out the same this year. We have two exceptions. One, we are doubling the number of porta potties that we have because I know that was a huge issue that popped up last year. So we want to make sure that it's not. We will have the wheelchair accessible entrance, which is going to be at the bottom left of the court by our control center. And at the field level, we will have a porta potty as well as a handicap accessible porta potty and a hand washing station. And then in the parking lot towards where the results and the awards are, we are going to have 2 regular porta potties and 1 handicap accessible porta potty and a hand wash station. So that should be enough and will hopefully cut down on some of the issues that we faced last year. The other change that we are making is we're keeping all 20 courts and they're going to be numbered the same way. But instead of having courts 1 through 20, we're going to divide it into 2 sections. The first section is going to be courts 1 through 10, and the second section will be courts 11 through 20. We're doing this just to keep all divisions in one section, and we'll have 2 different scorekeepers at our control center, 1 for each section. It will kind of cut back on a million papers coming in and having to navigate what paper goes to what section. So hopefully it'll keep things a little bit more organized. And I know last year was great, but we're always trying to be better with that kind of stuff. So this should be something that's good for that. For our competition, as in previous years, there's going to be no staging tent. Coaches, you are responsible for getting your athletes to their assigned courts at least 10 minutes prior to game start time. And matches for singles and doubles, we are going to do a 25-minute time length, which is what we did last year. It seems to work pretty well, and no one really notices the 5-minute shave off from the initial 30 minutes. We have a lot of athletes who are coming out again this year, so we want to make sure that we're not playing bocce until 7 o'clock at night. So we are going to stick with that 20-minute time length. The way to win is you either score 12 points in singles or doubles, or the time limit expires. If that happens, it is whichever team has more points at the end of the time limit. All the games are going to start and end using the common clock, which is displayed on the big scoreboard on the field. And we will be posting the results that they're going to be where they were last year, below the stands on the court level. We are using an electronic system to transition our scores from our control center to awards. So that worked really well for us last year, and it cuts down on a lot of time. So we should be awarding everyone a little bit quicker. So just some rules reminders for competition. You are able to use an alternate if they were registered as an alternate in GMS. And you can't substitute during a game unless it's a medical emergency. And if that happens, please find myself or Sam or one of our rules officials, and we will determine if you're able to make that substitution. If you don't have an alternate listed for any of your teams and you have a doubles pair and the one partner doesn't show up, then your athlete is still able to play. However, they can only roll their 2 balls for it to count. They wouldn't also get to roll their partner's balls. For equipment, we will have everything provided on site. We encourage everyone to use the tournament-issued balls, which are the standard weight. However, I am aware that a few athletes, I believe it's either 2 or 3, use the lighter weight balls, which is fine. If you could bring them for your athlete, if they're planning on using them, just send me a quick email and let me know, and I can note that accommodation and make sure that no one tries to fight you on it, so we'll be all set for the games. Kind of, like I said, it's going to require clearance to use the lighter weight balls. So if you have an athlete who hasn't historically used them, please just let me know and we can make sure that it's an extreme need. We are pushing more towards the usage of ramps, which hopefully after you see my ramp demonstration, you will be on board with. But even if someone's using the lighter weight balls, we are requiring that the regulation Polina be used at all times, regardless of what the weight of the bocce ball is. We are asking to borrow bocce sets, which we did last year, including the yellow and white Polinas. I know Baltimore County, you guys were a huge help in this, so we are very grateful for your help last year. If you are willing or able to lend any sets, please contact me. We will label them and make sure that you get them at the end of the tournament so nothing will get lost. And just below, it describes what a regulation set of bocce balls is. Awards are going to be presented at the completion of each competition division. The awards venue is going to be the same spot as it was in last year, right in lot 19. We schedule the divisions in a way that there's only a maximum of one game in between the completion of your team's final game and their awarding for their division. Please be patient with us, though. Sometimes things get jumbled up and we sometimes can't find a certain team and we want to get everyone awarded. So your patience is much appreciated and we will work to make sure that this process is as quick as possible. A big thing with that is please have your athletes and partners wearing their credentials when they go for awards. It's a lot easier to just look at someone's name tag and see that, oh, Robert's sitting in the front row, compared to just asking for Robert over and over again and he doesn't know that he's being called, so it really cuts down on the time. So please make sure that they have their credentials, and their credentials this year are going to have their division numbers on them. So if we're calling for Division 121, you will just see that on the sticker, and it'll be a lot easier. For weather, we have had lots of it recently with all of this rain. Please just check the forecast before the event and have your athletes dress properly. We will not be providing sunscreen for everyone, so make sure that they have that. They have a hat if the sun's super strong, or they have a rain jacket if it's raining, all that kind of stuff. We do allow shade and tents. However, please make sure that they're set up in the bleachers and that they're secured. They cannot be secured on the field level. Nothing can go into that grass just because of our relationship with Towson. That's what they prefer. We do allow hats for your athletes to wear during the games, but they can't have sponsorship or corporate logos on them. Our inclement weather plan is we're going to postpone it until the rain clears up. If there's thunder or lightning, we have to wait at least 30 minutes until the last that we saw of that. Refer to the control center for updates. If the weather takes a turn, I will be making sure that everyone knows where we're going. Our two options for safety are United Stadium, not the concourse though, and Towson Center. So just if bad weather happens and we make the announcement to seek shelter, please quickly gather your teams and go to either of these locations. If we do have pop-up tents up or your delegation brings some and we have bad weather, we may ask you to take them down. So just cooperate with us and we can get things done as quickly as possible. Uniform. So players who are not in a proper uniform are going to be disqualified and not allowed to compete. As a coach, that is your responsibility to make sure that they are all properly dressed for the competition. This means that they have long pants or shorts on, jeans, running shorts, or short shorts, which we are defining as shorter than a 5-inch inseam, are not permitted. Last year, I believe it was 3 inches above the knees. I know some people who have long legs, it's harder for them, so just sticking with a 5-inch inseam is a pretty safe way to make sure that they aren't short shorts. And we are requiring a collared shirt. For footwear, we ask that you wear athletic shoes that don't damage or harm the playing surface, and hats are allowed as long as they don't have sponsorship or corporate logos. Having your county program's logo on it is completely fine. I know Montgomery County has super cool sun hats that I myself want to get, so you guys can keep on wearing that kind of stuff. We aren't allowing headphones, cell phones, or electronic devices in the competition venue. If this is something that an athlete on your team requires, just let me know. It would be an accommodation. As long as we're aware of all the different accommodations, we are more than willing to do them. We just don't want to be surprised by anything. During the actual competition, players are to either tuck their credential badges into their collared shirt or give them to a coach during competition. It's important if you have your athlete hand off their credentials to you, please give them back to them as soon as the competition's over, because they will be going to the awards tent, and it's pretty important for us to have in order to get them awarded quickly. I see another question from Rennie.
Yeah,
Rennie about
Rennie, yep.
Yeah. Can you define a little bit better what you mean by the competition venue? Because a lot of our athletes will use their phones, their Game Boys, their iPads, whatever, when they're sitting in the bleachers or sitting under the tent in the shade. They're not competing. So when you say competition venue, you mean completely the parking lot, the field, or is it the line of where the coaches cannot cross that we're talking about?
Yes, the line where the coaches cannot cross. So if they have a game off and they're sitting in the stands or with your team, that's totally fine. But once they enter the actual courts and the surrounding court area, that's when we want to make sure that it's not out.
Okay, so they can sit in the stand or in the shade and be playing away all day.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And then I did have another question back a while back when you were talking about the length of the game and everything. If an athlete arrives late, how much time are you giving them before you're cutting it off?
If it's singles, I would give them 5 minutes to make it to the game. If it's doubles, their team can continue to play. They just wouldn't be able to throw whoever's missing balls.
Okay, so if an athlete is late, you give him 5 minutes on the singles. That's fine. I have no problem. What if he shows up for the second game? Is he allowed to play in the second game, or are you scratching him from singles completely?
I would only scratch them from that game that they were late to. As long as they're on time and ready to go for their second game, that's fine. I understand some things pop up sometimes and there's emergencies, so I wouldn't completely penalize them for that.
Okay, and so you're not going to give a 5-minute grace time for the team to wait for the second partner on the doubles?
I would. So that 5-minute grace time would continue with doubles too. However, if after 5 minutes the athlete still isn't there, then their partner could continue and just only throw 2 out of the 4 balls.
And then on the next game, the 2 can play again?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, we're on the same page. I just wanted to make sure that we all had the same information all the way around. And last of my questions is the tents. In the past, we could have tents off the field on the side where by tenting further out they stand.
Yeah, that is fine as long as it's not on the competition field.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So a big rule I want to touch on is coaching. This is something that pops up in all of our sports, regardless of if it's alpine skiing or bocce or swimming. It always presents itself as an issue. Only competing athletes, unified partners, and designated volunteers are allowed on the court. We will have a line that is clearly marked that coaches are not permitted to go across. Same with spectators. Once the official match clock has started, no coaching or instructional assistance is permitted. This applies to coaches and family members and any spectators who come. Teammates can confer with one another prior to stepping onto the court. We really are cracking down on this year. I want to thank all of you whose qualifiers I made it out to, because I know that in Charles County, you guys were on top of it for making sure that family members weren't that close to the course and coaches weren't coaching. So you guys all really just did a great job with that. So we will be enforcing that again this year, and it's not something that will change. So if you are compliant, that would be great. Timeouts, we will do timeouts if there's an injury or an illness. If unanticipated or unavoidable delays are lengthy, so 2 minutes or over, then the official managers and competition director, myself and Sam, may add to the official time. I don't foresee this happening unless it's an emergency, but we are willing to do it. So we would make that announcement if that pops up. Measurements. This is another big thing that I'm always telling people that we should do. The people on your courts are volunteers. They will be trained to measure if a ball looks like it's even close to the other one. However, coaches, family members, and spectators are not allowed to ask the court officials to measure the distance from the balls, but athletes and unified partners are more than welcome to do so and highly encouraged to do that just to be safe with it. Like I said, the officials are going to be trained and asked to practice the proper measuring technique. However, coaches and players need to remember that consistent measuring is most crucial, not necessarily the technique. So if you have officials on your court who aren't measuring the exact way that you think they should be, but they are doing it the same every time, that's what's important, just the consistency piece to that. Spectators, we have a lot of seating for spectators, which is great. We can hold up to 2,500 people on the bleacher seating. So if your team is up in the bleachers, we just ask that you be mindful of everyone else around you, not sprawling out and taking up 4 seats when you really only need 1 or 2, and also picking up your trash. Towson is such a great host for us, so we want to make it as easy on them as possible. So just kind of being mindful of what you leave behind. Lawn chairs and tents are permitted at the field level, but they have to be completely off of the playing turf. And they have to be behind the drawn line that we will have. Tents are not to be secured with stakes because there is an irrigation system in place under the turf, and we want to make sure that we aren't hitting any water pipes or things might get a little bit crazy. So if we can just avoid that by using stakes, that would be great. Spectators who cannot abide by any of the regulations listed above are going to be asked to leave the field level. I will also have copies of the coach's code of conduct and the parent's code of conduct just in case we run into any issues. So it's just something that we can go back to, or if you have a parent who's kind of causing a ruckus, you could bring them the parent's code of conduct so they can see what all they can do and what they are unable to do. And dogs are not permitted at field level, which is unfortunate to me because I love dogs, but I understand the necessity. For protests, similar to all of our other sports, protests have to be filed within 15 minutes of the match completion. They can only be filed by the head coach for your delegation, and they may be appealed to the Games Rules Committee. If you have a protest, just bring it straight over to the control center, which is going to be in the center back in a white tent, and we will handle it as quickly as possible. And that is all that I have for you tonight. Does anyone have any questions or anything that they want to discuss about this year's bocce competition at Summer Games? Man, you guys are an easy crowd. All right. Well, this just kind of shows who your regional sports director is. If you have any questions or anything pop up, please feel free to give me an email, or when I send out the bocce emails, I have my cell phone and my work phone listed in there. So give me a call whenever, and I will do my best to answer your questions. If you would rather go through your regional sports director, you can do that. We have everyone listed below, and it shows what territories they cover. So please feel free to contact them. But I have you guys out of here in 33 minutes, which isn't too bad tonight. So thank you all for joining me, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.